Well, hello there, everyone. It is great to have you joining us tonight. It is, at least where we are, Monday night, and that means it's
Marriage Monday. I'm
Marriage
excited.
Monday, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My name is Kevin. This is
Lisa.
And we're happy that you're here and joining us. We're going to talk about marriages. We're going to talk about your marriage, our marriage, and marriage in general. And we're going to make some changes in all of our life, make a difference in our marriage.
Yep.
You know, we always talk about the fact that every week
Yes.
it's a good time to think about your marriage.
And have a restart.
Have a restart.
Yes.
No matter where your marriage is at. If it's doing really great, maybe you don't want to restart it. But if you've had some issues or some problems, maybe it's time for a restart. And speaking of restart, we want you to join us and go ahead and comment. Tell us some areas that you'd like a restart in, not necessarily in your marriage, but just at this time in history, maybe you'd like to have some restarts in some areas. So whether that's, well, I won't even give you the ideas there. You can think, just let us know that you're here. Leave a comment for us there and tell us what you'd like to restart again. But that's a great thing about having our marriages, of course, that they can start, restart, and especially, you know, if we're just committed to our marriages, the problems never take over.
They're very dynamic. They're always changing, as we're talking about in these sessions, and we can always use time to just, you know, take inventory and just realize, you know, there's some things we could have a restart for.
So the request so far is we'd like a restart on 2020 entirely. The entire year.
Wow.
To start all over again.
Wow.
That wouldn't
Well, there's
be
some
a
good
bad
things,
ideas.
good things about 2020 that I wouldn't want to restart, but yeah, I can understand that feeling.
Yep. Someone else is saying, going back to my dating years, so I'd like to fall in love all over again. Isn't that romantic?
Okay. They enjoyed phase one. They enjoyed the oh yes.
But
phase.
the person who wrote this is no longer in phase one. I can tell you that.
Oh, okay.
It's Albert and Rita, but he's wishing he'd go back in time. It's a restart, right? Everybody gets a free restart. This is all the way from Alberta. A wish to restart the hockey season.
Oh, dear.
Well, from what we hear in the news, that might be a restart there. Who knows? We'll see what's going to happen about that. But we're here for our Marriage Monday, and we're glad that you've joined us as well. And any of you who are not with us live, who are joining us later, it's great to have you here.
Yes.
In our Marriage Monday, for the last few sessions, we've been talking about the different phases of marriage.
Yes, we've been talking about the 5 phases entitled, Oh Wow. The whole, you know, phases all together. We want it just to be amazing and have amazing marriages.
Oh, wow.
You know, no matter where you start, it's how you finish, and we want, you know, the whole experience to be amazing. So we're kind of breaking down each phase and talking about, you know, the different phases that our marriages go through, because as we were saying, they're always changing. They're not static. And so you're going to go through what we've done already?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the first session that we did was Oh Yes, which was the honeymoon phase.
Oh yes, it sounds nice, doesn't it?
Passionate.
Oh yes.
And we sort of coined that this session was about passion and perspective, because though it is a very passionate stage with all those love hormones and chemicals causing you to be obsessed with each other and infatuated with each other, sadly those do end. And researchers say that the hormones and researchers say that they can last up to 2 years, but it's not something that goes on and on and on forever.
Right.
And so we have to move beyond that.
We talked a little bit about why we think that's so important that the body does that right at that time.
Well, because it's really bringing the couple together and creating that oneness that is needed for the rest of their lives, to be the bond that you know, the foundation, and just to really, you know, become we, you know, from me to we. And so it's a very important and special time that you really want to treasure if possible. Yeah. So kind of put it in a bottle and keep it for memories and always refer back to.
Yep. And so for those of you who are in phase one, congratulations. I hope you're still having a great time. And when you're in phase one, you even sort of get resentful and say, that's not me. I'm really in love. It's not just chemicals. And, you know, go ahead and think that. But, you know, over time, that fades, but it does not necessarily have to go away.
No. With the right perspective, you can, yes.
That's right. That's what we talked about in phase one there. So phase two is, as you can see on the big screen there behind us, It's uh-oh or uh-oh, like depending on how you want to say it. That's when you move out of that beautiful oh yes phase into what we call reality. And at that point in the uh-oh stage, those hormones that we talked about, that infatuation that we talked about, that desire that we talked about can even start to wane and go away, or it really starts to wane in one person. And so this is why we say that phase 2 is a real reality stage, and that's where all the feels, so to speak, kind of come screeching to a halt, and you realize, you wake up one day and you look at the person beside you in bed and you say, oh, you're not as perfect as I thought you
your
were.
breath smells.
It sure does, among other things, right? And so it's that phase 2 where we say, all of a sudden you hit the uh-oh, you're hitting a lot more, you're going through a lot more bumps, you're going through a lot more frustration.
Getting to know each other, really, who you really are. Sometimes not the best sides of yourself too.
Sometimes going through resistance, sometimes even going through rebellion, because you're just like, I can't believe that this is who you are. I can't believe,
You tricked me.
Yeah, exactly, you're right. And I did.
And I tricked you. I tricked you.
I feel like I tricked you.
I definitely
got
tricked
away
you.
with it.
No.
Oh well. So that was phase 2. Have no fear if you are in phase 2. You're going to get through it. It's going to be all right. And we talked about that very important thing. If phase 1 is all about passion and perspective, phase 2 is all about faith. Remember, we talked about that in the last session, and it's about friendship. So the thing that you need to be leaning on and relying on in that phase 2, which we talked about in the other sessions, is faith, is spirituality. That's an important part of it.
Foundational.
And really establishing friendship, because you're moving out of that,
Yes.
oh, we're going to be
Friendship
friends.
with each other.
Yeah.
Friendship with each other.
That's
Not new friends.
That's right.
I'm going out with my friends tonight.
No, stay home, work on your friendship with your spouse.
It's a painful process to have to
2.
really work through things you didn't, know, and communicate things about how you feel. And
it really is.
Yeah.
So we like to say that all those really great vows that you say on your wedding day, that's I will and forever until death and no matter what, no sickness and lots of money or no money.
Sickness, even if in sickness.
If in sickness, no matter what.
There will be sickness, sadly.
Those vows are really wasted on phase 1. You start to get to know those vows in phase 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So that's good. But we're not here to talk about phase 1 or phase 2. We're here to talk about
phase 3.
Phase 3. And
Oh
phase
dear.
3 is
Oh dear.
called
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Yeah. So phase 3, would you like to tell?
Okay, so this is a very busy phase. It's kind of action packed.
So you could say, oh dear, because you're so busy.
Like,
just
oh dear, like, oh my goodness, there's so many things you might be adding to your relationship at this point. Kids, it's a phase where you might add kids, or you might, beef up your career, get a different education to help your career. There's, buy a house, car payments, activities, kids' activities, school, homework, lots and lots of things you can add, to this phase of your relationship.
Sounds
kind of
very
happens
tiring.
naturally. It's, and it's different ages for different people. Some people might be in their late 20s, 30s, 40s. In fact, people are having kids even later. So,
yeah, that's true.
which makes it even more exhausting.
You're an expert on this, so let me just ask you on behalf of everybody. Generally, how long are you married when you're in phase 3? Like, how long have you been married? Like, what are the years? So if phase 1 is in the first 2-3 years and phase 2 is...
I have not read a lot on the numbers of years, but and I think that it's more what you've got on your plate.
Yes.
And
this
and
is
I think
what I wanted you to
I think some
answer
people
there.
get married and jump right into phase 3, right? Blended families, and so there's no science here.
Yeah,
right?
see, you did very well. I put you right out there because I wanted you to say that this phase, it really begins sort of the condition that you're in, the time of life that you're in.
How busy you are.
If you've started,
overwhelmed you are.
For example, what you said, if you start having kids early or if you choose to have kids late, so that phase can kind of move around because, as you already said excellently, it is so much a phase in your life where you've just got all that increased busyness. You said something to me a couple times this week. This is the phase, and since right now where we live, I don't know when you might be watching this, but right now where we live, of course, it's a Monday night, and it is in June 2020, and all of the farmers everywhere are making hay
Oh, yes,
while
that's
sun
right. I love
shines.
that expression.
Making hay while the sun shines. That means they're out
Yeah.
cutting the grass and baling hay and staying out late at night, making sure they get their crops off the field, or
Yeah.
the hay off the field right
Yes.
now. And you said this is the
I
season.
always say that. Let's make hay while the sun shines. So this is a time to cooperate with each other and to join forces and really get a lot done.
Yeah.
if
So
you
we have
choose.
on the screen behind us something I just wanted to point out or make sure that you all understand about this season. Of course, it's busy, but also there's you're going through, most people. Again, this is, as Lisa said, not totally a science, but this is kind of, it's more than anecdotal though. Sort of the majority go through this. You're going through a time of a lot more success in your life, maybe success with your career, but of course, as it says behind us, with success comes sacrifice. And
yes.
with sacrifice means you have to leave something somewhere to be successful in another place. And a lot of times,
It's your personal comfort usually.
yeah, your personal comfort is what you sacrifice, especially
sleep,
if you
your
got
sleep,
kids,
yes.
and you got mortgage payments, and you got car payments. That means you're working your tail off, making hay while the sun shines, going to work, working really hard, but you've also got kids.
Yeah.
So even though you're
It's a very
exhausted,
responsible time.
you're even more exhausted with your kids. But you're smart enough, all of you, to know that you're not going to sacrifice at your job, and you're not going to sacrifice your kids. So what often can get sacrificed in phase
know where
3
you're going.
is the marriage.
Yes.
It's the old, well, I'll just leave that alone and come back to it
Come back
later.
to that later. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Back burner. It's on the back burner.
So on Marriage Mondays, that's probably not the best advice in the world, but that's the way a lot of us think. So tonight,
but it takes a lot of coordination to not do that.
Yeah.
You know, to keep that.
So
marriage
tonight
on
we're
front
really
burner.
going to make the appeal for you to, if you're in this phase or have gone through this phase and you can still reach back and you find yourself a little bit in this phase as well, the one thing you don't want to sacrifice, of course, is your marriage.
That's
but
right.
as you can see, there's a lot of great things about this phase. You're joining forces, right?
Yeah,
You're working
and you made
together.
it through the reality phase, which statistically is when most divorces happen. So
The
if
reality phase is
if you're
what?
in phase 2.
Phase 2? You make it through
Yeah,
that?
if you make it through the uh-oh
Become
phase,
friends?
then you really have worked hard at sort of what's in front of you, and you're here, but it's no less easy.
Yeah, because you
It's
got
just
all
new
that
challenges.
You got all that responsibility, right? So this is life, everybody. You're
exciting.
never going to do anything
Yes.
great if you don't do
Well,
something
hopefully
that's
we're going to
tough.
help you with all of this. We hope, right?
Hopefully.
Because
Hopefully.
if anyone's in this stage and you are overwhelmed and busy, we're so proud of you just for even watching this, because that's
right.
a sacrifice.
That's a really good point.
Yes.
Now
Oh,
that
on
you
that
say
point-
it,
on that point-
wait, let me just finish
okay,
this.
yeah.
Now that you say that, I just realized that everybody in phase 3 is putting their kids to bed or giving them a bath. They're not watching this right now because they're also,
you never know.
They're making hay.
But if you know someone who could really benefit from this, you can always share. We've talked about that share button, and
Yep.
you can send the link to someone and they can watch it whenever is convenient for them.
Yeah.
Not when they're putting the kids in
Right.
the bath or to bed.
That's right. So if some of you are able, you can even press share right now. And if you've got Facebook, press share and share it to your Facebook. And I guess we'll go live on Facebook, or we'll do something exciting like that Lisa and I barely understand.
how that works,
Yeah.
but-
So anyway, so there's
You
that.
can email it to people too.
Let's keep going. So
Okay.
we want to tell you that, like we did for the last couple weeks, we reached out to some of our friends
Yes.
who are in this phase. We did it two sessions ago with some people who are in phase 1, kind of the newlyweds. And that was really good conversation. Then last
Yeah.
week we talked about people who are in the uh-oh
Yeah.
phase, and they shared
Incredible couples.
really great.
Yeah.
And we've got 3 more couples that we want to
Yes.
have talked to you a little bit, and they talk to us as well as they're in this phase. And so there's all the handsome couples behind
Yes.
us right there. And we
They
really,
look pretty good for being in the oh dear phase.
yeah. And so I don't know if there's any real good way to set this up, but what we wanted to just say, when you watch this next segment here for the next few minutes, keep your eyes open and look and try to hear if you hear. Try to hear if you hear. Can I say that?
Sure.
Try to hear if you hear people who are in phase 3. Listen to their words. Listen to the way they describe things. Listen to the way they talk about each other, and see if you can't hear some key phase three
themes or
oh dear life kind of words as you observe the video. And when you observe that, go ahead and drop it in our chat. And then when we get back, we'll talk about that. We should also just tell you a little heads up. Most of these, in fact, I think all of these couples are what, in the beginning?
They're in the end of phase 3, I would say. So don't be discouraged if you just think, oh my goodness, they have it all together.
Yeah.
They've worked hard and they've, figured some things out. So we're hoping that there's some gold in there for you to mine.
Yeah. So get yourself ready. We're going to talk to 3 couples who literally are making hay while the sun shines. Watch this. Everybody, welcome to this phase called Oh Dear. It's a really, really great phase. It has lots of busyness in it. Sometimes it's busyness with kids or career or mortgages or who knows what. It's a time that can be very challenging, and it can be a time with great victories as well. We have got an expert panel here for the Oh Dear phase. I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves right now.
Well,
Andreen, and we have been married for 18 years.
woo-hoo.
I'm Jim,
And I'm Melissa.
and we've been married for 19 years this year.
I'm Richmond,
And I'm Grace.
and we're going to be reaching 22 years of marriage.
No, we're 22.
September.
Already 22.
Okay, we might have to redo that. We're
Can we
fighting.
do that?
I think it's perfect.
97.
You're going to keep that?
Sure, I think it's great.
It's great.
So here's our first question. Tell us some things that have helped you protect your romance and your intimacy at this busy and exhausting phase in your marriage.
One thing that works a lot for us is like we enjoy doing it. It's dancing.
Listen to music and dance just in the house. Put on the radio. We dance all different types of music, and the kids think we're weird, but we enjoy doing it. We enjoy dancing and listening to music.
Yeah, there's something about dancing that really brings us up close and personal. It has that electrifying signals. It goes all to the all right places, and it does amazing job. Yes, that's right.
Love it. Woo.
So romance to me is being, not so much the date nights or vacations or flowers and chocolates, but it's more the day-to-day. We joke, we laugh, we just have a lot of fun going to and from work, and we just joke about anything on the radio. I sing crazy, or we're just laughing all the time.
And normally we just flirt with each other, and we actually have some code words to hide from the kids when we talk about intimacy. So we use a beverage. To explain using a beverage, I'd say, I could use some coffee right now. We'd understand. So coffee at midnight's kind of weird, but hey, we like our coffee.
Yeah, so when we first got married, it was really in my mind to be intimate all the time. I realized that's not a real possibility. And also I realized too, my wife may not be ready to be intimate at a split second. So one of the things that I've learned is to build an evening out of it, to make your relationship a priority. And so I've tried to be selfless. I've taken her out to the VIP movie theater where we've had a little nice dinner together and talking before, and then of course diving in to watch one of my favorite Bridget Jones movies, and then afterwards having a great time with each other after the movie later on. So there was a build up for the night. So
how do you talk to each other about the things that are really stressing you out or overwhelming you or causing you a lot of anxiety, with your busyness? How do you talk about it without ending up blaming your spouse and criticizing them?
I feel for me, when I get frustrated, my tendency is to be a stuffer, right? And it's like, nothing can hurt me, nothing can bother me, but I'm bothered, I'm discouraged. And one of the things I had to do was just to take time and give myself a bit of a time out to think through, why am I upset? Why am I frustrated? What's going on? why I don't feel protected. And once I'm able to do that, then I can approach Grace and talk to her about it, as opposed to trying to stuff it and then it all comes flying out, So that's one thing I've been working on over the years and learning.
Well, we are a work in progress on this one. So definitely over the past couple of years, especially, I've been really working on this, trying to reframe my statements and my thoughts from like blaming to really flipping them to how I feel. And sometimes I don't know how I feel. So I'm kind of a geek. I Googled like this list of emotions and trying to figure out like, what am I feeling in this situation? And so that's what I'm trying to do more and more, is just flipping a criticism into I feel. And so with our finances, this is a great way that we actually have had a bit of a victory over the past couple of years. So I love budgets, I love finances, it's what I do for work. It's not Jim's thing.
I like money though.
So I definitely have felt kind of alone with our finances, but I need him to be involved. I need to feel like he's working on it with me, that he knows what's going on with our finances. So we kind of figured out a system where I will do all the detailed work. I'll update our budget and track everything. And then twice a month, actually, I'll show him a high level of where we're at. And that way I don't overwhelm him with all of the details. And yet I still feel like we're working on this together and that I'm not alone in the responsibility.
For me, I usually will say, hon, we need to talk. And sometimes I will call him at work or text him. There's days that I'm just overwhelmed and frustrated with many different things, and I'll just simply just call him and talk about it, because then he knows how to like calm me down, and it just worked for us. Just, call him, talk to him, and just him in person say, hon, can we talk?
With the addition of kids into your marriage, how do you make sure that you find time for each other and not make it all about the kids all the time?
So, for us initially in our marriage, while the kids were younger, and it was always hard to, leave them with other people, not comfortable with it. So it was kind of challenging to, really find time for date nights and, just spend time together, because at the same time, I think Andrine was getting ready to further her education. She was going to school and, have a full-time job, just bought a new house. So there was a lot going on. But as time progresses, as time went on, we sort of figure out, how to steal a little time here and there to, spend time together. And, so that is a challenge we had initially. And, we learned how to get better and better as time went on.
So for us, we've been so busy, throughout our marriage, just busy with our jobs, both working for almost the entire time. But what we really tried to do is we tried to make our relationship a priority. And so pretty much every week since we've been married, we've tried to go on dates. We tried to set aside some time just to get out with each other. So we made sure that we could get the kids with someone, get them babysat, and then just get out of the house and go somewhere, enjoy some time with each other.
All right. Dealing with children. Very similar. We just hired babysitters whenever we could. We hired our families whenever we could. And when the kids turned 11, we made them take that babysitting course because they were going to babysit each other. We were out of there. Every week or every month, we were out having tea or coffee.
So let me close by asking this question. Is life as perfect as it looks from here, or is life tough every once in a while for you guys in your marriage?
You know, we like to have a problem about once a day. That's kind of it's not our model for our family, but it's pretty close to that. But once a day we have a good problem to work through. And honestly, it's been great actually going through problems. They help us to change. And we've really tried to, work through our problems, work through our immaturities over the years, not take ourselves too seriously. Like we used to take ourselves very seriously, and so tension would last for hours. Whereas now at one point we just look at each other and laugh because it's so many of these things are so silly. But yeah, life is not perfect, but we're still working on things and it's getting better.
We make a lot of mistakes, but we also apologize a lot.
Yeah,
and we forgive each other a lot. And yeah, he's right. It's about every day.
Finances, just like the checklist we're talking about. Yes, we go through that quite a bit. Exactly. But you know what? And this is what I mean by, learning, studying your spouse. And you know what? For me, I know where she stands. I know how to, communicate, when it comes to finances. So it's an art. You have to learn. And that avoid a lot of other issues. And so there's a lot more of a happier home.
We still have disagreements or bumps here and there, but it's just putting things in perspective. It's like whose shoes in the middle of the hallway is like, those little things don't really matter anymore when you're looking at the big things. So we have this no back door. We love to grow together. So obstacles are good things. Actually, having bumps are a good thing because as we work them out, we get closer. And so that's the benefit of all the fights that we have will continue to have in the future. Is as we work it out, as we get people to help us, we're going to get closer. And that's the goal. So
1, 2, 3, and that's it. That's it.
Did it.
Well, they did a good job, didn't they?
Yes,
We're
they did.
Very grateful for our good friends who are willing to muster the courage to come on the
Yes,
World
thank
Wide
you.
Web with us and talk about their very
Thank
intimate marriages. Listen, if you're not going to get a chance to really say thanks to them other than doing this. If you're on a device right now, go ahead and just press the like button and let them know that, because they're watching this right now. So let them know that you see them and you appreciate their hard work. So go ahead and like right now, unless you're casting onto a big TV. If you got a device that you can do that with, go ahead and do that. But we're so thankful for them and what they were able to share a little bit in phase number 3. And so we asked you before we went into the video there, so to speak, what were some of the observations that you saw when you were listening for phase 3? So some people shared a little bit. Did you see some of the things that people shared?
Yep.
I noticed that someone, saw, everyone's thanking, so where it's difficult for us to see there. Of course, the coffee comment that Richmond made, everybody, a beverage of any kind. Well,
coffee at midnight.
I told Richmond and Grace that they think they're fooling their kids, but someday when their kids grow older, their kids are going to say, "Mom and Dad, you didn't fool us at all. We knew it all along." But
someone very wisely said, flipping blaming into explaining. That's a great point.
That's right. There's a sense of coming together that we're witnessing here, an openness of communication.
Laughing through messing up helps. Yes.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? And making
Don't
marriage,
take yourself too seriously.
making your marriage a priority in the midst of busyness. All of those things are very true. And so thanks really so much again for that. So some of the observations that we saw in their life is that just how much they really enjoy each other. Now, we did say that they're on the tail end of phase 3.
Yes, they've learned some things for sure.
And they were being videoed, so they're going to be on their best behavior, right? Let's be totally honest. They're not fooling anybody. But that being said, They
No,
really do. And you can tell they really enjoy each other's
they
company.
know how to relax together. I mean, yeah, laughing, singing, dancing, they had it all covered pretty much.
And they've been through some things. You can see that as
Yes.
well. They've been through
Yes.
some
I loved how they had such a positive attitude towards being through things. You know,
Yeah.
problems bring you closer, and great opportunity to change and grow. Wow.
I wonder if that's really true or if they're just saying that for the camera. Wouldn't it be really great, though, to get at that place in your marriage where you do view challenges and obstacles as just challenges and that which draws us closer together? There's
I'm
a real maturity
convicted.
there.
That is convicting. Yes,
But that
yes,
maturity
yes.
really starts to blossom in this phase 3, this oh dear phase of your life. It's a really great opportunity.
You could tell they're partners, all of them. You know, just really had a great partnership.
Yep.
Very different from each couple, but each one had their own special partnership.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. They also, we talked about restart at the very beginning of, we always talk about restart.
Yes.
And you can see this, once you get into phase 3 in this oh dear phase, you better get used to restarts.
Oh,
and
yes,
you better get really comfortable with restarts. And that's what, I think it was Melissa who shared, well, and Jim, right? We have a problem
every day. Love it.
But in
That's
Melissa's
awesome.
words, so profound, right? That yes, it's every day, and we're going to have to apologize every day.
A lot, yeah.
And then she also said, and forgive.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because
Yeah.
that doesn't always come
No,
with the
it's
apology,
true.
does it?
It's very true. Like to wipe the slate clean every day, no matter what. Never get tired of saying you're sorry. Never get tired of forgiving.
Yep. So isn't it amazing that people who are in that crazy stage of life where there's kids and there's this and there's that, they also have, at least our examples here, have figured out how to really relax and sort of fit right in with each other.
Lean
really
into it. Yeah.
belong to each other. So that's a great thing about phase 3. And so we want to just kind of, with the tail end of our time here, share with you some solutions and some applications that you can apply in your marriage if you're in phase 3, or if you're a really old married person and you're well past phase 3,
and you want to busy up your life a little bit.
well, but this is the
you
thing.
can do that.
So many people today, although past phase 3, busyness is seemingly staying with us
That's true.
longer.
That's true.
And there's some people who are well past phase 3 as far as kids, or maybe even
Work
quote
or
unquote
jobs
payments.
but
they're still in that kind of crazy busy phase. So some of the things that we're going to share tonight with you guys, these 2 things especially, can apply to you. So if you're taking notes, write these down. If you're just typing into your phone, get ready to type in your phone, because these are the super important things.
Yep.
So let me just
And
go back.
Just 2, right? We're just going to cover 2?
Just 2.
Yep.
So in phase 1, we talked about phase 1 was all about passion and
perspective.
In phase 2, everything was about your spirituality or faith and
friendship.
And now phase 3, it's all about teamwork and...
Are you going to give the second one away?
Sure.
Okay. Tenderness.
Teamwork and tenderness. So let's start with teamwork. Let's jump right into teamwork here first. And the first part of teamwork that we really want to emphasize for every marriage. Now wait, don't click off, because you've heard this before. If you've ever been on our Marriage Mondays, you hear this, every single Monday, but it's still very, very important.
I don't even know what you're going to say. So
communication. Being communicative, isn't that a big word? Communicative with each other. So if you're going to make hay while the sun shines, if you're going to have kids and pay bills and do all this kind of stuff and stay married to each other, you better figure out that communication is really important.
Well, we were thinking about what builds a great team, and you cannot not talk about communication if you're going to talk about how to build a great team. So communication is so important, and maybe different kinds of communication than we've talked about in the past. We mean, like, as a team, you're checking in with each other. You've got to check in with each other. You got to know who's picking up the kids, or who's picking up the groceries, or who's dropping this off or that. So there's a lot of check-ins and who's doing what, and delegation and organization, all the things that you love.
Yeah.
And and that
she's being saucy right now.
So sometimes one is better at some of these things than the other, and so all the more reason you need to check in just to make sure that everyone knows what's happening, where they're going, and so that's super important. Did you want to say anything else?
Can I talk about teamwork just for a second, and this idea of communication, because There's a lot of us who are watching right now who are, sports people. We've played a lot of team sports. Lisa's.
I played a little bit of team sports. I
Lisa
played
was
field
a track
hockey.
star.
I played
Okay,
field hockey.
yep.
5 years.
All
of
right.
field
I always
hockey.
tease her that she never really played many team sports like I did. But there's really something about a team when they're really working together. Now, picture a husband and wife. Picture you and your marriage with your teammate. As Lisa said, there is that communication, that verbal communication. But when teams really get going well, you picture a hockey team on the ice, a basketball team on the court, a football team on the grass, I guess, soccer team on the pitch, if you will. The team, when it's really doing well, they're able to know and anticipate what each other is going to do. And so that's still communication.
Yes,
they
yes,
know,
yes.
but they're not actually saying the words.
I
They
love
just
that.
know
I
where
love
each
about
other
that,
is going to be.
anticipating what each other's where each other's going to be.
And
That's a really important one.
Sometimes you can see the way she's looking at me. Sometimes husbands don't do that well.
Anticipating where each other's going.
It's
That's
really good.
awesome.
But every team also does this. Every team calls a timeout. And what do when they come back together? Even though they've been professionals for so long, they're the best in the world. They come back, get on the clipboard. Coach says, look, there's communication. Make sure you do this. When a hockey team, they all come back to the bench, sweaty, drippy, but they're all saying, I'm there. I'm going to go down in the corner. That kind of thing. So that just for all the guys.
You're losing me now.
No, but I'm saying this for all the guys who are out there saying, I just heard Kevin say I don't have to talk to my wife, because we need to have the kind of communication where we don't talk to each other anymore. But that's where you were saying the check-ins. So you got to be communicative if you're going to be in phase 3, which is oh dear, and you're going to make hay while sun shines.
You got to cooperate.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
So
enough.
That's the first.
That's good.
Enough.
Oh, sorry.
Enough. On to being positive, because being communicative is not positive. Take it away.
Okay,
How should we be positive?
Well, I love this because it is easy when you're communicating to actually get frustrated with each other. And it is so important to stay positive. A team needs positivity. It doesn't need to be criticizing each other, even though it's so tempting. I think that we talk about all the time. Just that temptation to criticize.
Stop
and how we
it.
can't do that. We've got to look at the problem, not the person.
Kills your marriage.
So, trying to find things you admire about your spouse and keeping it on a positive place. For every negative thing you have to say, figure out if you need to say 5 or 10 positive things. It depends on each relationship.
I want to ask you a question. I'm an irritating person. That's true. How in the world do you always say, when I'm really irritating and ugly and awful, you always do this. You're always very positive. You say admiring things. And I know, we're so good at communicating. We both know that you're just pushing through. How do you do that? Take notes, everybody.
I just want to live a happy life, basically.
Why did you marry me?
And this is it. We're a team. We're a team. I think we have to have instead of, oh dear, we've got to have we can do it.
Oh dear.
We've got to have we've got to be cheerleaders for each other, basically. So, and have lots of grace, apply lots and lots of grace. And
you do that very well.
I'm way more irritating than you are. I'm irritating, you're frustrating. How about that?
We should get t-shirts.
Yes.
We will get t-shirts. That'll be a whole other Marriage Monday.
And you're
What am I, frustrating?
I'm irritating, you're
You're
frustrating.
frustrating. Well, it's good to finally figure that out after all these years. And we're not even in phase 3
but
anymore.
That's okay. That's life. And it's crunchy, but we have to keep moving forward. There's so much to do, and there's so many things we have to do and want to do. And so can't get caught up in the small stuff, you know?
And you have to stay
positive. Yes.
This is all about teamwork. Nobody, can I get an agreement out there in cyberspace? Nobody wants to be on the team.
Yes. Someone agree with us,
somebody who doesn't communicate and somebody who isn't positive. I'm sorry, that might hurt your feelings, but that's life. You got to work through this, got to get better at it all the time. So
and some people feel like it's fake. It's not fake. It's smart. We've got to, and people are saying here, we need, every team needs a cheerleader.
Yep.
So, and maybe you got to take turns being the cheerleader.
Teamwork is not fake.
Although mostly I'm the cheerleader.
You are mostly the cheerleader, that's true. Which is very supportive, which is point number 3. Take it away, cheerleader, go.
So we also have to be very supportive of each other and be committed to that. And I think that's what you said, why do you push through? And it's because I'm supportive. We're committed. We're in this. So
took our vows.
Yeah, we have to succeed.
We're
We
not gonna
can't,
quit.
you know, for our family, during this stage, our family literally depended on it. And a great motivation for me during this very busy, hectic phase was knowing that little ears and eyes were watching and listening to everything that we said and did.
In phase 3.
In phase 3.
We don't have
yes.
little ears and little eyes
No,
anymore,
we
but
don't.
we used to.
We don't. And we wanted
Really,
to model.
really little ears, but really good at hearing. Those
Oh
ears.
my goodness, yes.
Those little
yes.
creepers. Man.
So, you know, for the success of your family, you want to stay positive, supportive, and figure it out, and just apply a lot of grace, a lot of restarts, a lot of backing it up, you know, time out, whatever
Yeah.
you need.
Yep.
What
You
else?
know, a
What
big
more
part
can we
of-
say on supportive?
A big part of being supportive, honestly, is knowing your roles and establishing roles in your marriage as well. Leadership is a huge part of every team. And if you're a
that's
faith
true.
person like we are,
Yeah.
you'll know over in the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, there is some instruction, some roles for both husbands and wives. And
Yeah.
those roles absolutely do not put any one person above another, at least not as far as value, but there
No.
is leadership and that should be established. But even we saw from our video that we've got husbands and wives who are deferring their giftedness to one another. So
Yeah.
leadership isn't, well, I do everything and you sit there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not what leadership is. But to be really a
Sort
supportive,
of having a gift paradigm mentality in
Exactly.
your marriage. Yeah.
but leadership, true leadership, is able to kind of figure that out together. So we're a team. We need to have leadership, and that leadership needs to support the team. And the person who is being led needs to support the person who's got the lead.
Yeah.
So being supportive is certainly that cheerleader aspect. It's like yay, yay, you know, shish, boom, bah, but it's also, is that something? It's also really stepping up in the hard times. It's also having that kind of humility and that servant kind of attitude. This team is us. And look, we say this every single week. We'll say it again. When it comes to our marriage, when it comes to your marriage, it's us.
Against the world.
It's us against the world. So we need our leaders, we need our role players, and we need our cheerleaders, and we need that positivity, and we need that communication, the whole thing.
And what beautiful harmony happens in the home when all of that is just running smoothly the way it should, as like that sports team, you know, where everyone knows where they're supposed to be, what lane they're in, and everyone's doing it really, really well. And yeah, I think we did a good job on that
I
section.
think we did. You're being very positive
Yes,
there. I
thank you.
appreciate that. Supportive also as well while you communicate to me. You're just the whole team package. I appreciate that from you. So yeah,
Teamwork.
We are saying, of course, if you want to make it through phase 3, you're going to need teamwork. And if you've already gotten through phase 3 and you look back, chances are, no matter where you are, if you're still alive in this world, you're going to need, and you're still married, you're going to need teamwork.
And the cool thing is you can do so much. You can accomplish so much in any phase of marriage until the day you die when you apply teamwork.
Are you saying you can make hay till the sun shines all your life?
I think so.
Wow, let's try that.
Yes.
I'm feeling old and tired, but
You might need a little more sleep, or but you can still do it.
All right, I was going to buy a tractor, but I guess more sleep is what you need. All right. So we just want to, is just in between the 2 points, the first one is teamwork, the second one is tenderness. But before we get to tenderness, we just want to really emphasize to you that this is God's plan as well, for us to be a team together. You know, we found this scripture, and a lot of you who go to church and you know us, you think you've already figured out what scripture we're going to share, and that is to prove you're wrong. You didn't see this one coming, but this is from Mark chapter 10.
How do you know they didn't see it coming?
I know these things. They don't have to communicate with me. I know. Mark chapter 10 and verse 9. But listen to, you know, and even if you don't even believe in God, if you're watching this at a time and you're not watching live with us, or you don't know if you believe in God, or you're not sure about all this, just listen to the kind of the ancient wisdom here and the common sense wisdom that comes along with this passage, where God says what about two people who are married. He says, therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. Now, when some of us read that, we might be thinking, yeah, don't let anybody come in to separate you. And absolutely, we should take that long marriage pause right here and say,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Yep.
And we're going to talk about that even just a little bit before we're done. But also, you know, the biggest personality, the biggest person, the biggest threat to separation in your marriage is
Each other. Yeah.
actually you. And so just remember, if you are a believer in God, His command to you is how important. Listen, I'm really busy. We've got kids. I'm really tired. I've got my job. Nobody appreciates me. I'm paying for 2 cars. We don't even need
tough.
2 cars. Blah, blah, blah.
No, we feel your
You
pain.
don't have a responsibility to bring separation in your marriage. So that's just something that
No,
you should decide.
Yeah.
I said it in my vows. I'll say it in phase 3.
Yeah, it can be tempting to kind of want to go solo at this point if you're not working well as a team. To think, well, and I mean, we believe in divide and conquer for the gift paradigm, but always together, always those check-ins, always
Right.
working together, knowing what each other's doing. You don't want to go solo off in different directions, and it doesn't help the family.
I wonder what you would say to people who feel like, boy, this is a little suffocating. I want to be me. Like, can't I just be me? Can I be me in a marriage? Can I have my own personality?
It is about you have your independence, but within the unity of togetherness is, you're interdependent or you're independent but together and unified, and combining your strengths and really pulling together in a way that coordinates and conquers in a powerful way, but not in a, we're going off in 2 different directions way.
Yeah. I see our moderator said there's no I in team, but there's an I. But I always make the choice to be a team. It's very good. It's very good. And us versus everybody. So yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have glanced down at the chat. That only serves
Especially
to
when
confuse
you need glasses.
me. Yeah. Right, we should make hay while the sun shines and get me some glasses.
So we're
too.
talking about, what are we talking about? We are talking about being together and
and
working
the
as a
importance of
team.
that.
And
But I
we're
think
going
I
into
just appreciate,
tenderness now.
and I appreciate that you really validated the fact that, that us being one, us really enjoying our marriage, you still really get to celebrate the individuality of each person.
Yes.
Like the individual could go away anyways, right?
Yeah, no.
I'm so irritating. I'm always going to be here. Like, it would be really great if I could meld more into
I can't
Lisa's
believe we're not more
personality.
similar after 30 years of marriage.
Yeah, they say
you're
people
very
become
much your
similar.
own person.
We're working the other direction. Maybe we were mostly similar.
We're
when we
in
got
next
married.
week's phase. That's going to be
right.
good. We can share all of our
We should
problems,
hurry to
all
next
our
week,
problems then.
to the next
But did we
session.
cover everything about that?
Let's talk
teamwork?
about tenderness.
Yeah.
So the first T was teamwork. The second is tenderness. And for some of you now, we've talked so long, you're wondering, what in the world are you guys talking about again? This is how you get successfully through
phase
this
3,
very busy but very rewarding phase called Oh Dear.
Yeah.
You got to have teamwork. You got to learn to be a partner and work together. But if you're going to do that, you've also got to treat each other with tenderness. Now, Lisa and I spent some time watching the Netflix episode, the Michael Jordan, what was that called?
The Last Dance?
The Last Dance. And we really, really enjoyed that. And I don't want to say anything bad about Michael Jordan or any of the championship Chicago Bulls, but you heard some of the teammates say, yes, we had teamwork, but they didn't always treat each other with a lot of tenderness. So
you're going off script.
I'm totally off script because I'm using all my sports analogies here right now. But I think what's really important is we want to talk about tenderness because you are
the
not
glue. It's the glue that
you
keeps
are not
everyone
a
together.
locker room full of guys in your
right,
marriage,
yeah.
right? You've got to bring tenderness as well as teamwork.
That
You see
is
how I brought that around?
absolutely
Am
the
I
truth.
good?
That's the truth.
We're not a locker room
That is
full
the
of guys.
truth. No.
And it smells bad anyways, so there's that. So tenderness, let's talk about that. We've got 3 areas in the area of tenderness that we want to encourage you in. That's protectiveness or to be
we want to
protective,
talk about,
creative, and
obviously,
attractive.
you would not think we were responsible people if we didn't talk about protecting your romance and intimacy, because this phase really, that is difficult to do. It can really get lost in the hustle and bustle of everything.
Yep.
So you really want to protect it.
Can I interrupt you only
yeah.
to say it's the first thing to go? I mean,
yeah.
You got to be honest, right? If you're in this phase or if you've gone through this phase, a lot of times your romance is the first thing to go because it's what you think is most expendable. and you sort of stumble to your bedroom at night and go, yeah, right, you're dreaming. There's no way.
Especially when you add kids, it's very difficult for, especially the first child. Just really figuring that out is very challenging, and needs a lot of encouragement and talking to other people.
So the only way through it is you deciding how we're going to protect this. And just visual that analogy, right? To be protective of something, right? A lot of you women out there, you like to refer to yourselves as mama bears in certain. Why don't you be a mama bear about your about your romance and your intimacy? Oh well.
And you'll be amazed when you protect your husband's intimacy, how tender he becomes. It sort of happens like not tender, and then anyway, I won't go into that. But so I was talking about like.
I liked where you're going, but go ahead.
So. You know that the further away from especially sexual intimacy you get from your spouse, the less tender they become towards you, is what I was trying to say. And so
sad, but
it can be sort of a bad cycle you can get into, and you don't want to. And then just some real practicals. We wanted to give a few practicals. So when you're trying to connect, because you do, we're not just going to tell all the ladies out there, you got to, switch it on when, just because you have to.
I wish we could tell the ladies that, but the guys have all learned over time.
No.
Remember Jim?
Yes.
I thought we were going to be, It doesn't always work like that, does it?
So basically, when you are trying to connect, though, really protect that time, because I think sometimes we want to, the check-ins we talked about earlier, right, with the teamwork, all those check-ins, communicate and delegate and coordinate. That's different from communication when you're protecting your intimacy. Then you don't want to talk about the problems or who's getting what.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, so you need time to talk and connect. That's not about all the things that go into your family corporation that you're building. You want to
because this is the phase where you're building. Where you're building Robbins Corp or your last name Corp, right? And everything is busy, and we're, when are you going to pick up that kid? When are you going to do groceries? And we're building the empire, right? And so if you want to be protective, of what I hear you saying, if you're going to be protective of your romance during those times when you schedule those conversations.
Well, I think we can self-sabotage our romance. We can start a fight at like 10 o'clock at night when we're trying to go to bed. That's certainly not going to help your romance, right? So we like to say set some ground rules in your relationship. Even no big intense conversations after a certain hour, because fatigue and fighting do not go together at all. And that doesn't help your intimacy and romance.
Yeah, we always tried to sort of lock it down after 10 o'clock. If you not having those big, intense,
it gets more emotional,
irritating
later
conversations.
At night when you're tired.
They can wait.
Yeah.
And you can come around to them again. It's very true. So that's being protective. The second thing, as far as tenderness, is to be creative with, and that helps you be tender as well.
Because it's so busy. The creative was because it's really hard to find time in this stage for romance and all that kind of
Right. So you've got to be figuring out ways, using creativity to ensure that you guys are going to get some time together.
And boy, were we creative.
You got to be creative. This is why we now host Marriage Monday.
Yes, that's
we were
true.
creative. But little things, we moved around a lot. That was our job, made us move around a lot. Actually, our job made us move around too much. But every home that we moved into, every apartment we moved into, when we had kids and we had little feet and little hands, one of the first things that we always did was
change the lock on the master bedroom. If we had an ensuite bathroom, we'd change the ensuite lock to the master bedroom.
Yeah, and most of the time we didn't have ensuite bathrooms, but I just went out and bought a lock for the bedroom door.
And before we gave the keys back, before we gave the keys back to the landlord, we changed the lock back to the bathroom from the.
Because in this world we live in, nobody locks the master bedroom, but we're just saying, if you're going to be protective and you're going to be, if you're going to be protective, then you got to be creative. And one
have
way
your privacy.
Is those little people who want to come in and spend the night with you.
Yes.
Well, they can. A little bit later, maybe just put it that way.
You have to be creative, even with scheduling. It's not going to happen at this stage. Really, I think I've heard couples every Saturday afternoon put the kids in front of some cartoons and, hey, Mom, and this is when the kids are a little bit older.
And go out for coffee?
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I know.
Did you get that?
Yeah. No, they're in their bedroom. Like, the kids are too young to be left alone, and so they, we're.
But I was
Mom
doing
and Dad.
Richmond.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
Mom and Dad are gonna have a coffee in the bedroom. We're gonna have a little nap and just there's lots of creative ways you can just grab a little bit of time when your kids are preoccupied and you lock the door. You know, there's really,
Yep.
there's no excuses for why we can't be creative
It's
in that
true.
department.
Hey, can I tell you something? You know something I really hated about this phase that we
Yes.
started doing?
What?
Scheduling sex. Scheduling sex. Something about the male ego and scheduling sex just is like, oh, it's terrible. I just thought, again, I've said it a few times in our sessions before, I just thought my natural masculinity and the pheromones that I give off are going to just cause you to either rip off my clothes or rip off your clothes, and you know, and
You'll learn to appreciate it.
but we had to schedule sex.
Yes.
You know, my tender ego got over it after a while when I realized you got to protect tenderness.
Well, especially
And
the
be creative.
parents of more than 2 kids, right? Like that's really
Yeah.
you're over the edge with
Well, one is a
busyness.
lot, right? What
One
have
is
we
a
always
lot.
learned? 1 is a lot.
Yeah.
2 is
It's like multiplication. It's not addition, it's multiplication.
right.
It's very,
So
very
by the
busy.
time you have 2,
Everything
you're
that goes
already
into the one,
outnumbered.
it goes- yeah.
And if you had 3 or more, then
Yeah.
God bless you. You have a soccer team, but they're
Exactly.
going to gang up on you. So
We have
for your tenderness, you've got
Yes.
to be protective of it. You've got to be creative. And this last one,
I don't need
attractive.
to say too much on this one, but it's pretty obvious,
Because
right?
everybody out there is attractive?
No, because I want to get to the other stuff too before
Yeah.
we have to. Anyway, yeah. So attractive. You want to cover that part?
Not particularly. I
Oh.
thought this was your area.
Well, I think we talked about the fact that, of course, on the outside, and it's really hard as a busy mom, and moms do so much. Women do so much. Moms are not, if they're working outside the home and inside the home.
Well,
and
hopefully the
taking care of
guys
lots of
aren't
things.
slouching around either. We're doing stuff.
I know.
We're doing lots.
Yeah.
We're breaking
in
our
a
back.
perfect world, but
Bending the elbows and,
and
grease.
and do wonderful things. Wonderful things. Everyone does wonderful things.
Everyone does.
But I'm just saying, as a woman, sometimes it could just be like, pajamas, my fuzzy pajamas.
Oh, the ugly pajamas?
You know, the ugly pajamas.
I hate the ugly pajamas.
And, the unbrushed hair and the unbrushed teeth. And, it is important to try and be attractive
The
in
unshaved
this
face.
phase. And not take your husband for granted. And I guess husbands should hear the same with their
Absolutely.
wives. And so
Absolutely.
personal hygiene and all these things can
Yep.
we can kind of like lower the bar during this phase
Yeah.
because we're just
you're
so
exhausted.
exhausted. And,
Yeah.
and we actually kind of want the outside to portray how we feel on the inside, which is really spent.
We're
and
sending some messages.
overwhelmed. So you want to work on that.
Yep.
See, I didn't think we had much to say on this. But anyway, so inside, outside, and also attractive, like make being intimate and connecting emotionally attractive. Like if it's a big, laborious thing for one of the spouses, then they're not going to want to do it.
Right.
If go have coffee means you're going to listen to me complain for 45 minutes, then you're not going to want to go have coffee with me.
Yeah, so
and I
we're all-
don't mean Richmond's coffee either. I meant the.
Oh, you meant real
yeah, I
coffee.
meant real
I will never hear coffee again that way.
Anyway.
All right, let's move
attractive,
on though.
inside
So
out.
we those important things about teamwork and tenderness will get you through phase 3. We just wanted to end with a suggestion about body cues for connection.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm pretty excited about this.
Please go.
This is the part that I didn't want to run out of time for. So this is something Kevin and I have noticed, really just kind of discovered this recently, that every couple, if you watch each other closely, has body cues for connection.
We send messages.
Yeah, and this is something that I am just fascinated by and I want to think a lot more about. But I've noticed, even with Kevin and I, that we send each other body cues, but we don't meet them. Like we don't meet each other. We don't respond
So we
to the
miss
body.
them.
Yeah.
Right? I'll send
And-
a message to you and you
Yeah, and
just
as we talk to
miss
couples,
it.
there's many, many different things that if we were honest with ourselves, we'd say, yeah, I know when he says that, this is what he means, or when she says that, this is what she means, or even that they're just looking for some validation. Even some raised eyebrow might mean, please agree with what I'm saying, or, a touch on the shoulders or the neck or whatever, something that's just saying, please look at me, please connect with me. I've noticed that you like to show me videos on your phone at the most inconvenient times. Oh, look at this funny video, and I'm just like got 10 things I'm doing, but this is something consistently that happens, and I've just decided recently that I'm going to be more excited about it because I see you do that with the girls. Oh, you guys laugh over something, and I'm kind of left out because mom's too busy. She doesn't have time to stop and look at a video. And so that's a small example, but there's
Right.
many body cues that we can have that what we're really saying is, I just want you to look at me right now. I just want to feel a connection. I want to be close to you. So we just think that that's something to think about.
Yeah, and so in this session especially, our suggestion is take a challenge that we took as well,
Yeah.
and that we're going to decide to start being a little bit more alert, or actually a lot more alert, and paying attention to the cues that are sent out
Yeah,
by your
I
spouse,
like
because
that.
we're sending them actually all the time. And at this stage in your marriage and beyond, you really are an expert on those cues. Most of us choose to miss them because we choose to miss them. And so we've decided, we're really going to work on that and become much better in that area as well. So we'll probably come back at another Marriage Monday and talk more about body cues and the messages
And before
that
we
they
go,
send.
did you want to give them the health check?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's just about that. That's very, very important. And before we go, we just wanted to share with you that we've come up with something called a marriage health check. It's like a PDF that you can download. If you're interested in this, you can go to robinsmotivation.com. That's our website, robinsmotivation.com. Maybe it's on the little thingy down there right now. If you go over there, there's a free download on intimacy, but there's also now a free download just taking, it won't take long at all, just a marriage health check. And it looks into sort of 3 areas where you kind of score yourself a little bit, and then some suggestions. It's not super laborious at all to
But
do.
it covers everything we've talked about for the last 3 sessions, and
Yeah.
really helps you to maybe even zone in on what part you need to focus on.
Exactly. And you may even discover a little bit what phase you're in. I noticed some people were starting wondering, what phase am I in as well. So these are some options for you. But listen, we're grateful that you've joined us
Yes, thank
here
you so
on
much.
Marriage Monday. And we're really want to encourage you to join us in our next session, which will be phase 4. But until that time, phase 3, don't forget, it's oh dear, because there's lots going on, but also, oh dear, this is really great. So it's a time of great victory and a time of going forward and a time of making hay while sun shines, but it should never be, ever be, a time where you forget or don't prioritize your marriage. And so you work on teamwork and you work on tenderness, and you will have a good phase. See you next time.
Good night.